Mute your audio. As you enter, please mute your audio.
Well, it's okay. Give him to Benny.
Look at my bowl.
Okay, so if you would like to have translation to Spanish, please go to the bottom of your screen and click on the globe and select Spanish.
Si desean oír la junta en español, hay un globo de parte de abajo de su pantalla que dice interpretación y usted puede ahí indicar ahí que quiere oír la junta en español.
Go ahead, Kim.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Kimberly Mcgrath. I'm Assistant Superintendent for Educational Services, and I'm here today with Rick Mayfield. So I'm going to share my screen and would be thrilled to talk to all of you about distance learning that's coming up for the fall, Monday being our first day of school. And we're going to present some information to you, and then at the end, you're welcome to ask questions, and we will answer those for you. At the end, we will talk to you about how to raise hands and the procedure for doing that. But we will get started here with the piece that we do have. Okay, are you able to see my screen? Great. Okay, so here's our topic for today, distance learning for the fall 2020. We're going to go over a few just procedures first to make sure everyone understands, and then we'll begin on the topic. Mandy, do you want to cover some procedures?
Yes, please keep your videos off and your audios muted. And if you need translation services, Maria Torres will be providing those for us.
Great, thank you, Mandy. Okay, so I'll begin and then I will hand it over to Mr. Mayfield here in a second. So as I'm sure many of you have heard, we are beginning with distance learning for all students. Our school board decided that we will do that through winter break. So that should allow you to plan for those procedures through winter break. And then here in the coming months coming up, we will make a decision based on cases and where our county is, what we're allowed to do for the time between January and June. We will be looking for small groups of some of our most vulnerable students to be able to come in person. We're still kind of formulating, looking for what permissions we have, et cetera, to be able to do that. So there's more information that will come out about that upcoming. Like I said, a decision will be made about the time between January through June, and that will take place before winter break. If you're interested in that, I encourage you to watch for those topics on our school board agenda and feel free to join us for that as well. I do want to clarify the difference between the virtual learning program and the distance learning. So virtual learning program is a specific program that we asked parents to select and to sign up for. In the virtual learning program, this is a guarantee that you are in a distance learning virtual format for the entire school year. Whether the school district comes back to a distance learning or in-person format, the virtual learning program guarantees a year long of distance learning. Distance learning is what the entire school district is in. And so therefore, if we're allowed to come back in person at some point throughout this school year, then those that are within the distance learning program would follow that and would come back into in-person instruction. Just so that you kind of understand from a global place, our distance learning philosophy is that in the spring, we really went into an emergency virtual setup. Did the very best we can, and we had amazing teachers and educators that really went out of their way to make the very best situation they could out of an unfortunate situation in the spring. It is different for the fall. In the fall, we've had time to listen to feedback from a variety of stakeholders and to make improvements. We also had information come out in Senate Bill 98, et cetera, that talked to us about daily attendance. that talked about it being more regular school, so to speak, more rigorous, more live interaction and synchronous time between students and between the teacher. So those adjustments and improvements have been made. We've taken the time this week to do lots of collaborative time and professional development to learn from some of the best practices so that we can improve that and do the best we can for the fall. We've started to look at in-person. We've determined that there are special education students that are our highest priority, that when we are allowed to bring students back in person, that we will look at our special education students, especially those that are medically fragile or that really need hand-over-hand instruction, and we will work with families and student services in order to determine the best possible scenario we can. One thing to keep in mind is that many people have heard about this elementary waiver. So the California Department of Public Health is recommending that we look at case rates. So just something to be aware of is that as we've heard that our county is on the county monitoring list. And over the last 2 weeks, we also have over 200 cases when you're looking at per 100,000 population. So we do have to consider that, and that will go into our calculation of what we're allowed to do in person, as well as agreements we have with our labor groups about the adults that are on campus are volunteering to be in person. So we've heard a lot of questions about, can you give us some tips, some tricks, some things that could help us out as we're preparing for this. And so we added some of that information here to help parents out in particular. So things that you can do right now. Here's some things that we want to encourage you. Figure out a schedule that works for your family. What is that going to look like? How are you going to separate the distance, kind of the difference of what it is to be at home and now this is school time? So talk to your kids, talk to your students about this is what it's going to look like this year. Create some sort of learning spot. And that could be, maybe it's a desk, maybe it's on the bed, maybe it's whatever in your home works for you. But we encourage you to find a consistent learning spot so the student can have a place where they know when I'm sitting here, I need to be focused and it's school time. I encourage you to test out your device, test out your Wi-Fi connection. Don't wait to the last minute to check that. Have those things tested and ready to go. I also encourage you, just like you would in a typical traditional school setting, talk about a set bedtime. Talk about what are we doing when we wake up. Are you headed to work? Are they headed into a daycare? Or what is the situation for your family? And of course, everyone's in a different situation, but create those routines, have those discussions now. Create some kind of morning pattern, so to speak, right? We're waking up at this time. We're getting dressed at this time. We're going to have some food at this time, and create that morning pattern that feels like traditional, we're going to school. That will help kids mentally prepare that they need to treat this like it's traditional school. Be prepared, be ready to engage, and create that routine for yourself and your family. Also, as we all know, you set the tone. You set the tone for your family as a parent about how your student is going to come with an open mind, ready to tackle this. So we encourage you to create that positive tone. Let's go take advantage of this. You can do tough things. We do hard things as a family, and we've got this. So those are some tips that we heard people asking for, can you give us some ideas? Here's a couple more on the other side of tips to do during school. Think about that routine each morning we talked about. Allow enough time to create that calm morning. Have a spot ready for your child. Try to log in early. So, give some extra time for your student to be able to log in, say hi to the other students, and then be prepared, ready to go. One thing I would say is a little bit of patience, a little bit of grace is going to go a long way this year. And I just want to emphasize that there's going to be some issues. It just happens. We were just talking about power outages and internet outages and thinking you're going to do small group divisions and then, oops, it doesn't work. People are trying their very best. So I just want to encourage everyone, have a little patience, have a little grace, and keep communicating. We want to understand and hear if there's concerns and want to be able to address them. If you're sitting, at home, or if you're hearing from your student after they come home from daycare that things are frustrating, please communicate with us so that we can work to address it. One thing to keep in mind is that it is different from the spring, that there is an interactive teacher. There will be a live teacher. I know a lot of you felt like the homeschool teacher in the spring, and we're hoping that feels very different for the fall. Also want to encourage you to keep this number. If you have tech issues, calling 805-549-1250 or emailing tech help. Those are, our IS&T department has been amazing and has really stepped up to say, how can we help be supportive of staff and of families? So this is a direct way that you can get help if you need it. So distance learning, I'm going to hand this over to Mr. Mayfield. He'll give you a lot more specifics. And then, like I said, we're happy to answer questions for you at the end.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rick Mayfield, Director of Learning and Achievement. And, as Mrs. McGrath said, this is going to be very different from what occurred in the spring. We closed on a Friday afternoon, made the announcement about 4 o'clock. Teachers started teaching in a distance learning format on Wednesday and did a pretty amazing job in a short period of time, but with very little background and very little knowledge about exactly what this looks like. As many of you know, some nailed it and the kids had a great experience, some did okay, and some struggled. And this format was very difficult. So since that time, we've done some research. We've looked at what is best practice in virtual learning. We've reached out to folks that have been doing this for a long time. We took input from the state, of course, in SB 98, and we tried to put it all together into a distance learning plan that will work for our families and especially for our students and kids. We know that there are hundreds, if not 1,000 different iterations of what this looks like out there for our families. Different circumstances, different situations, that for some, this will be an easy transition and will make a lot of sense and fit perfectly. And for others, it will be a more difficult transition. And people will have a hard time figuring out how to organize all these things that we're requesting, of our families for kids to be ready for school. It's difficult to come up with a distance learning plan that absolutely fits every single person's needs. But we do feel like this distance learning plan is rigorous and allows our students to learn and to move ahead, move forward. It gives our teachers a reasonable, sensible week and way to roll out their curriculum and teach, and that it is a balanced approach for families. So the kids are online. It's the format we have to use, and in front of a computer for some time, but not all day long. And they do have activities that they do that aren't right in front of a computer. One of the things that we did in the spring is we met with our teachers at the end of the year. We sent out surveys to our parents at the end of the year, and we said, what worked during spring? What were the activities? What were the things that teachers did that really worked for your child? And we took that input. We asked our teachers, what are the things that were most effective from your point of view? And we put that together to make our distance learning plan. And many of the things that we came up with, you'll find in this plan. Structured time is paramount to this plan. This is not going to be here's your Google Classroom and do the work whenever you want. This is more of a let's come together as a group, because we learn that relationships are super important for students to be able to learn. The relationship with their teacher, the relationship with their classmates, and the only way to do that in a distance learning format is by synchronous instruction and synchronous activities where kids are together and learning together. We're also required to take attendance daily. The state of California is requiring that. And while there are different ways to take attendance, participating in these synchronous or live meetings is one of the ways that we're going to do that. I'm going to go over some sample schedules in a moment, but your teachers will have individual schedules. Certain things won't change, like the start time, roughly the start time at the beginning of the day and the end time at the end of the day. And I'll go over what some of those things are. But your individual teacher will send out a schedule for your class. So if your schedule doesn't match exactly the one that I'm going to share with you today, please know that there will be some differences. And then, as I mentioned, students are expected to be at all scheduled synchronous meetings whenever those are to occur. Okay, can I share the screen now, Mrs. McGrath? So basically, the plan is broken up by different grade levels, and I'll start with kindergarten and second grade here. We do have some information on preschool up above, but just to show you the structure and to kind of go over how this is organized, I'll start with K2 here. There's a small blurb on the instructional program at each different level. It's basically the same from one grade level band to another, which is we're going to depend on Google Classroom and GAFE, which is the Google Applications for Education. We will have many other applications, but our base is going to be the Google platform. Every single level will have what we're calling tiered support, and generally that occurs in the afternoon. This is a new structure for our district and one that we're very excited about. And it will allow teachers and students to have time in small groups, perhaps one-on-one, weekly, or every other week, depending on the number of students. At the high school level, it's difficult to meet with 150 students in a week's time, but teachers will have time in very small groups and or one-on-one to meet with kids and help them to achieve. The tiered support is open to all students, not just students that are having difficulty, but students that are on grade level to touch in and help them to expand their knowledge and to progress, and students who are advancing and to meet their needs as well. In the spring, we had different levels of feedback, assessment, and grading. And that's one thing the state has made very clear that we need to be strong on now in the fall. Our approach is that we're going to make this look as much as we can like a regular school year in terms of student progress, student engagement, and we want to be able to monitor how students are learning and react appropriately to those students who are not learning or to those who are learning quickly and need some acceleration. So there will be feedback weekly from teachers, there will be assessment, there will be a report card with grades on it. For every level from kindergarten through 12th grade. I mentioned a little bit about the schedule. This distance learning plan is going out to all of our teachers, and this is roughly what they will be following every week. So the times, the number of instructional minutes, for example, here for kindergarten, it's 180 minutes or 3 hours a day is a minimum expectation that the state has set for instructional minutes. That doesn't mean they're going to be on synchronous learning for 3 hours a day. That means their total time should amount to 180 minutes or 3 hours a day of time with their teacher, time doing independent work, that type of thing. If you go down and look further, we have a little bit on student expectations here. We have attendance, and we're still working out the details on exactly how we're going to take attendance every day. And if a student doesn't come to an afternoon meeting scheduled with the teacher, what does that mean and how do we react? And we'll come up with those procedures and push them out as we get started on the school year. We have very clear teacher expectations, and this week teachers are involved in professional development from Monday through Friday on what is best practice in distance learning, what does tiered support look like and how can we maximize this time. And then tomorrow and Friday, teachers will have a lot of time doing the nuts and bolts of what does the technology look like, how can I best utilize technology, and Friday, setting up their classroom and getting ready for Monday. We've also listed some of the district supported technology programs that are available here. Seesaw is a program that will be used at the kindergarten through second grade level, and it would basically replace the Google Classroom as it's a more young kid friendly approach to that. Third through sixth grade, same structure, tiered support, grading and feedback. You'll see that the lessons are about the same as with kindergarten through second grade. There are a few things that are different. Music instruction is here. If we scroll down a little farther and we get to middle school, you'll see a little bit different structure to middle school from elementary school. In middle school, we are going to follow a bell schedule, and students will check in with their teacher for each period, and we'll do 3 periods a day. So 1, 2, and 3 at Laguna, and 1, 3, and 5 at Los Osos Middle School. And then that will be followed by the next day by 4, 5, and 6, and 2, 4, and 6. And we'll just go one day after the other with that schedule. We'll have an advisory period in middle school every Monday where students will check in with basically a homeroom class. They'll do some social emotional learning activities and other things, and then they'll be synchronously with their teacher at period 1, whatever course they have for period 1, 2, and 3, and then the following day the other courses. At every level, we're going to have a different schedule 2 Wednesdays a month so that we have some time to work with teachers on professional development and also on, what tiered support looks like and how can we react to students and, adjust what we're doing to make this program successful. So 2 hours a month, we're going to change the schedule up a little bit, and your teachers will be pushing out that exact schedule. But we'll have professional development and staff meeting time from 2 o'clock to a little after 4 o'clock twice a month. And that'll give us a good chunk of time to do the professional development that's necessary to grow teachers' skills in this new form of teaching. And then high school will look similar to middle school in the sense that the periods will be, the following. We'll have teacher collaboration time on Monday morning. Then we'll have periods 1, 2, and 3, followed by 4, 5, and 6 the next day. Teachers, it doesn't cut instructional time necessarily in half. Teachers will, have to decide exactly what are the most important skills and standards that need to be taught and push out some work within those periods to keep students on pace. During tiered support time in the afternoon, if it's a day where periods 1, 2, and 3 meet, then the afternoon will be tiered support for periods 1, 2, and 3. And we've actually broken that into half-hour chunks. So period 1 would be the first half hour of the tiered support time, period 2 would be the second, and period 3 would be the third. Okay. The sample schedules, these were sent out to families by the newsletter, the superintendent's newsletter. They went out via Parent Square. People should have received these by now. If not, they will be available when we push out this presentation to all of you. But again, I want to emphasize that these are suggested schedules for our families and not necessarily exactly what your child's schedule will look like. A couple of things to point out. The synchronous whole class time will be everybody in the class reporting Mondays at 9:15 and Tuesday through Friday at 9 o'clock. Okay, these other times, 9:30 to 10, when students are doing math, this might be a videotape or asynchronous lesson by your teacher or a guest teacher. This might be, we did with literacy in the younger grades. The Teachers College, Columbia Teachers College, has developed lessons by their expert teachers that we're going to push out. And so it won't necessarily be your child's teacher. And these are pre-recorded and can be viewed at different times. Your child also could be invited, however, to attend a small group math lesson or a small group writing lesson during this time. But it most probably will not be 9 to noon online and synchronous learning. That's not what it looks like kindergarten through 6th grade. There may be days where there's significant time online, and there may be other days where it's a reduced amount of time during the 9 to 12 period. Lunch every day will be roughly in the 11:30 to 1, lunch and physical activity time. And then tiered support every day will be 1 to 2:30 by invitation. So the first couple weeks of school, your teacher will make an appointment with every single student and their family to go over kind of what this looks like and have a touch-in one-on-one between teachers and families. And we think that taking this time at the beginning of the year will be a good way to kick this off properly. After that, teachers will have an office hour. During this office hour, this would be the time where the teacher will be available via email, telephone, or perhaps, even a Zoom meeting to touch base if you have questions, if you want to clarify assignments, that kind of a thing. First and second grade has an example here of what this might look like. And then the schedules go on. Third through sixth grade looks a little bit different. Middle school, again, is going to follow periods. So this first box here would be period 1 or 2, depending on the day, etc. But they'll also have this tiered support time by invitation in the afternoon. Okay, Laguna's schedule is there, and then Morro Bay and San Luis Obispo High School, which now share a similar schedule, will have something that looks roughly like this. Each of your child's teachers will share out exactly what these things look like. Okay, what these schedules look like. All right, and at this time, we will go back to, we'll move on to questions and answers.
If you'd like to ask a question, please go to participants at the bottom of your screen. Click there and then go to the raise your hand icon.
All right. We have Meredith Meyer.
Hi, yes. We actually just moved this to the school district. And so this is really helpful. Am I able, I don't seem to be in the email system yet. Can I give someone my email and I can get signed up for Parent Square and get the sample schedule emailed to me? I know Marianne, I think probably just has tons going on. So and we're at Laguna.
Yeah, the best thing to do would be give Laguna a call and make sure that you're in the system. You should be in the system at this point in time. And you should be getting Parent Square messages, and then they can send out to you that information. It's also in the, it will be in this presentation, which will be posted on our district website later on today.
Okay, and I've reached out to get a Parent Square login and I haven't heard back from anybody. And so I just want to make sure, given it's Wednesday, that I understand what's happening on Monday. So is there someone specifically I should call?
If you would, and I'll be happy to share the link with you.
Rick, what's your email?
It's rmayfield@slcusd.org. But please don't tell anybody else that email.
Okay. No, I appreciate it. So I'll reach out to you to get us logged into Parent Square, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Rick.
Give you that link. You bet.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is Amy Higgins.
I just had, thank you. I just had a quick question wondering if the elementary Zooms would be recorded if we had scheduling issues on certain days.
Yeah. We had long discussions about that issue, and there are some legal ramifications. And what we settled on is we will not require teachers to record those lessons. Some may, but we did not require teachers to do that. So, again, it just kind of shows the importance of being in attendance, whenever possible. Of course, if a student is ill or there are some extenuating circumstances, just like in regular school, and you cannot attend, you can reach out to your child's teacher for missing material and or someone else in the class who might be able to help you with that. But they will not all be recorded and made available.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. So next up is Erin Martin Elston.
That's right. Thank you. I had two questions. First of all, thank you for having this. My first question is that when my children have tried to use the Google Meets before, it has constantly frozen up on them. And we've tried it with multiple people. And I think my daughter even tried it with when she was trying to take that advanced math quiz, or advanced math placement. I know that one of her classes is already planning on meeting on Google Meets, and I'm wondering if there is something that we can do to try to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, we've heard, from outlying districts who've already begun school, we've heard that there are some issues with Google Meets. We've had success with it, in our meetings here within the district. And as I mentioned before, Google is our go-to platform. However, we did make Zoom available to all of our teachers, and we have purchased the Zoom Professional, which gives all the advanced features of Zoom for all of our teachers. So if we do experience some problem with Google Meets, then we have an alternative that we can have teachers use. So we're prepared for those issues.
Great. And also the other question that I had was, my daughter's entering 7th grade, and so they're going to be doing that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, periods 1 through 3, and then Tuesday, Thursday, periods 4 through 6. And I'm just curious how that works for the 4 through 6 to make sure that that's equivalent to what's going on with a 3-day-a-week pattern.
Well, every other week, it basically, one day follows the next, right? So one day the class will meet 3 times, or 1 week rather, the class will meet 3 times. The following week, they'll meet twice.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay, so
All right.
it evens out. And if
Yeah.
there's a holiday, like say there's a Monday holiday, whatever they had on Friday, if it was period 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Clear as mud, I'm sure.
Thank you very much.
Jeremy, you might want to mute.
I'm on mute. Oh, sorry. Is the train going off? I apologize. It's that time of the day. And next up is going to be Hannah, and I apologize if I mess up your last name. Mings, is it?
Yeah, Mengstab is the last name. Thank you. I guess my question is on the level of parents' participation on a daily classes. I understand that we got to help them set up and all that stuff, but some of the parents are, work from home. So just so as far as allocation, on the previous, so between March and June, there's a lot of, I was sort of my kid's teacher. My daughter goes to Pachenko learning Spanish. So I guess just trying to see the level of parents' participation on a daily, learning, how much time do we need to allocate and so forth for some of us that are also working at the same time.
Yeah, that obviously the more parent involvement in child's education, the better. And that's always been the case, right? But we certainly wouldn't expect parents to come to a school site and sit in the classroom and help their kids learn. Obviously, that's a lot more difficult in a distance learning environment. But the primary job of the parent is to set up the structure in which the child can be successful. So as Mrs. McGrath covered earlier, having a regular place, sticking to schedules, talking about like, okay, it's learning time. We need to focus and get to your learning now. And you sit down in front of the computer. Our goal is to have the teacher do the teaching and for it to be much less parent involvement needed. It is always helpful, but much less parent involvement needed. And, obviously that is tricky with little kids. And for preschool, kindergarten, 1st grade, man, it's a challenge for our teachers to really connect with those kids and to have quality interaction occurring. But we've done some professional development, and our teachers are absolutely amazing. And we will all grow together as this rolls out in the fall. And like I said, obviously with little kids, they're going to need some help getting on. They're going to need some guidance initially. But our goal is to help kids to be independent as quickly as possible, especially those little ones, and be able to interact with the teacher and their classmates in a distance learning format.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the Egon family.
Hi, it's Lena. Thanks. I had a couple questions. One was about how teachers are going to be assessing students given the learning loss in that spring period. In particular, I had heard from a Laguna Principal Coffee that SLO High School Math Department was going to review a lot of the concepts that should have been covered over the spring, and given the and that was under the trimester originally, I think, back then. And I don't know if they can squeeze all of that review in this current semester arrangement and distance learning. So that's the first question. And then the second question had to do with, in that emergency springtime, the teachers at the elementary school and the middle school that I was on the PTA boosters for, they needed to buy a lot of things, a webcam, a small whiteboard, even a working laptop, because the school issued computer wasn't fast enough, I guess. So I just wanted to make sure that the teachers have everything they need. And if their bandwidth isn't great, like if they have priority for the Wi-Fi's as well. So the two questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Lena. So, the first one is that, we did a lot of research on what this looks like. And there's a lot of great practitioners out there publishing information on how to deal with learning loss. And one of the things that they all are saying is, you do not go back to March in September and start teaching from there. You don't just go back and say, okay, I'm going to teach March to June 1st because you missed that, and then move on. But rather you weave into students' learning as the curriculum unfolds for the year. You have to keep teaching them their current grade level standards, and also make up for some of the losses that did occur in the spring. That's one of the reasons why we have this significant tiered support time. We also have some new personnel in instructional services in my department to help with a multi-tiered system of support, or MTSS. Laura Storm is a principal on special assignment, and we hired 2 teachers on special assignment to help with this. And we're gonna have a protocol for assessing where students are at, and then use this tiered support time to support our students in their learning. But we've absolutely done our homework on what this looks like and how best to approach it. And we're very fortunate to have resources and a dedicated board and cabinet to making this happen, and making sure that not only are we not like leaving our students behind, but we're gonna work aggressively on closing the achievement gap through distance learning. We can't say, oh, well, this is really difficult, it's distance learning, kids aren't going to learn as much. That's not our attitude. And I feel strongly that we have a solid plan in place to deal with exactly what you're talking about, which is some of this learning loss, and helping all of our kids, whether they were disengaged in the spring or whether they were bored in the spring and are, chomping at the bit for more challenging material. We've got to meet all their needs for all the different groups of kids. And then your second question dealt with, devices. And I'll tell you, all of our departments within the district are stressed in the sense that they're being asked to do a lot, with the personnel that we have. But we have tremendous resources. We received some federal assistance as well, COVID money. We've purchased for every teacher, every instructional person within our organization who needs it, a laptop and the equipment they need to do the job correctly. We discovered early on that Chromebooks don't work terribly well always for a teacher teaching a course, and that they need, a robust computer to make that happen. So we've ordered, I don't know how many devices, and they're coming in right now as we talk, and the software programs, including Seesaw and many others, Zoom and many others, we've purchased and are getting those up to speed. Because we have done so much over the summer, it may not all be ready by Monday, but we will absolutely be engaging with kids on Monday and ready to go in our new robust distance learning program.
Thanks. And can I ask one more question? Sorry. Or should I wait till all the other folks go? I can go. Okay. On test proctoring, I would imagine that in distance learning, it is something you guys used for the advanced placement test for a kid's testing into 7th and 8th grade, accelerated math and English. Is that proctoring program going to be used more widespread for the other teachers in secondary?
One of the programs we purchased is Go Guardian, it's called, and it works pretty well. It works best with a district device. So when a student is using a district device, Go Guardian is very effective because you can lock down the screen desktop and you can see exactly what the student is working on. It's a little more challenging with a home device, but we're looking into those programs. Like I said, we purchased that one. We did some demos on it, and we will roll that out and use it as an assessment protocol, this year.
Thanks.
All right. Hold on one second. It's going to be Aaron Stahelli, and I apologize if I said your last name wrong. Go ahead, Aaron.
Sorry, there. It's Erin Staley. Hi, thank you. Thanks for hosting this. I have a quick question about all of the small group work, which sounds lovely, by the way. My question is, how, as a parent who's perhaps not listening to every part of the whole group instruction, hold on, my baby's gonna come in here and cry now. Hey, come here. Or like my family is doing the YMCA camp, and maybe is a child, one of 16 children in a room with 2 adults. How are we going to know which small groups they're supposed to log into? Will we have a calendar on Monday or something so that we can keep track of when they should be logged in and when they don't need to be logged in? Because I guarantee my first grader's not that responsible.
Sure, of course. And we wouldn't expect them to be. You will receive from your child's teacher a schedule with a link of exactly when, the students are expected to be online. We're working with our child care partners and actually helping to staff. We're looking at the personnel that we have within the school district and saying, okay, who is available to go and help in these situations? And so, we may very well have district staff working with our child care partners to help, assist so that there isn't just 2 adults with however many kids in the room, trying to figure it all out. But, one of the things that's going to be required of all of us is as Mrs. McGrath said earlier, patience and also communication. This is a big challenge for teachers, and we're all just going to need to talk and communicate as best we can to say, here's what I'm experiencing, here's the difficulty I have, help me to solve this problem. And teachers will absolutely respond to that. And, we've been emphasizing that with our staff, that we've got to communicate with parents as much as we possibly can. That's why we're hosting these forums. We're trying to reach out and keep people informed, let you know what our thinking is so that this can be as good as it can possibly be. I can tell you, we absolutely expect that there will be difficulties and obstacles to overcome and problems to solve. But we can do amazing things if we work together and communicate and just hold our kids to a high standard.
Thank you for that.
And then last is Patty.
Hello.
Hey there.
Can you hear me?
Faintly, Patty.
Okay. I wanted to ask, how are you going to handle the video and the audio connection with the children?
Yeah. So we're putting out right now, schools are, in fact today even, schools are delivering hotspots that have, unlimited internet access. We opened them up, and Jeremy can give you all the technical details on exactly what that looks like. But one hotspot is sufficient for a family. I think it can hold up to 5 students online at the same time. We are providing devices to families who need them. We'll help troubleshoot any kind of problems and difficulties that come up with connectivity or computers. We have a lot of support staff who can help to solve those problems. We would encourage anybody having difficulty to reach out to their school site and communicate that with the teacher, with the office staff, with the administrators, so that we can respond and make sure that you have the connections that you need. It took us a while to do that for some students and families in the spring. And, you know, we did home visits and, you know, even later on after a week, you know, going and knocking on a door saying, hey, and the kids came to the door, what do you mean we're in school? I thought school was out, you know, but we're a long way from March. And, you know, I think we all learned a lot, families included, and we're prepared. We're rolling out hundreds of devices and hotspots. Today I dealt with, you know, 15 or 20 emails along those lines. So we're prepared and we're rolling that equipment out to families, and, you know, we'll troubleshoot any issues that come up with connectivity.
Okay. Maybe I need to be more clear. I actually want to know, how are teachers handling kids being, you know, viewing and hearing students' input or seeing, you know, so like right now I'm unmuted, but I have my video muted. How is that expectation per class being handled and in different age groups and whatnot?
Yeah, great question. So as I mentioned, this week we have a lot of professional development for teachers, and Mrs. Storm and our TOSAs put together 2.5 amazing days of what does best practice look like in a distance learning format. And some of the things they went over is how to establish those norms with students and kids, how to set up for success. And so teachers will be, I think, very structured in the sense of students are expected to, you know, show up at a certain time. We're asking parents to have them fed, dressed appropriately, ready to go for school. You know, it's learning time. And then teachers will be setting up the norms and expectations for what all that looks like. When to mute, when to unmute, you know, how to speak and all that kind of thing. And as I mentioned before, I believe that in the afternoon of the first couple of weeks, every teacher will meet with students and their family individually to go over some of these protocols and answer any questions that you might have. But you know, there'll be an adjustment period at the beginning of the year, and it is, of course, more difficult to start this with a teacher and a group of students who don't know one another. You know, that was one advantage we had in the spring, is that they had 2/3 of the year to get to know one another, and there were relationships established. It'll be a little bit more challenging in this format, but definitely not impossible. And we'll continue to provide professional development for teachers on how to make that happen.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. We have Bob Ward. Bob, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. Quick question. If for some reason, you mentioned something about Wi-Fi going out. Let's say one of the teachers who's going to get online and present some instruction uses Wi-Fi. Will there be some kind of hotline that they can call, and then the district can send out some emails via Parent Square or a splash screen of some kind, knowing that the problem is on your end and not ours when you're going to do that?
That's a great suggestion. One of the things we're aiming to do on the first day is just have a lot of staff ready and you know, able to assist with any kind of connection problems or anything that goes wrong. You know, it seems like we have a lot of challenges right now. You know, this morning we did a in-service with about 500 teachers online at the same time, and everybody kept getting those errors. You know, your internet is unstable. And, you know, we were texting back and forth, you know, what do we do with these 500 people if the internet goes out? So, you know, that's a great suggestion, Bob, and we'll be as prepared as we can be for whatever comes our way.
Okay, thank you.
Next is Shannon Smith.
Hi, thank you so much. My question is regarding absences. I just want to clarify if I've read correctly for the Bishop's Peak. If you can't make the allotted time for Seesaw or for the Zoom meeting with the class. Is there a way to make up your absence through the day?
Yeah. We're still debating that back and forth, like exactly what that's going to look like. And you know, one of the difficulties is that having a plan like this, which is more structured, where we are asking people to show up at specific times, what does it look like when they absolutely can't make it? And so, you know, we're starting off with everybody needs to be there when there's a scheduled class meeting and a small group meeting, an individual meeting, whatever. And that is, you know, you're expected to attend just like you would in a normal school setting. And then we're going to have to figure out exactly what that looks like when students don't attend or can't attend, and you know how we're going to deal with that. But you know, we're still working on those attendance procedures even today.
Okay, thank you so much.
Next is Lori Rainwater Quinn.
Oh, hi, thank you. I have like 4 questions. Am I able to ask them all?
Not at the same time.
Okay, I really
just go one at a time for us, Lori.
Okay, great. I have a senior, so I'm kind of upper division questions. I appreciate the Zoom norms. In those discussions of the norms, are you also going to talk about engagement? So like a student that's not really participatory, how to draw them out to engage in the group?
Yeah, great question. Exactly what we covered in this PD in the first couple of days. We talked a lot about student engagement, and it starts with relationships. You know, when you have a relationship with a student and they trust you and like you and want to learn from you, if you're providing material that's engaging and challenging, if the class is one where a student wants to be there and wants to participate, it makes a huge difference. And then, you know, we'll deal with any issues that come up just like we would in a normal classroom. You know, we have students every day that make decisions that things are going on in their life or they don't want to engage or participate. And we have supports in place to assist those students and to help them get back on track. And the same will be the case in this environment here. All of the support personnel are still available, counselors, administrators, and we're all in this to help our kids to be successful. So absolutely, that'll be part of the norm.
Okay, cool. Because it can be, not to be rude, but boredom, but then it could also be like a serious issue. So I appreciate just the awareness that it could be all of those things. And then also that it could be like fun and obviously like strategic. And then we can move on. My high schooler, I noticed that the schedule rotates from week to week. So every 2 weeks it's different. That's how I'm reading it. And I wanted to know why. And is that how it's going to be? So like week 1 is different than week 2. And then week 3 goes back to 1. And I was curious why that was.
Yeah. It should be an alternating schedule from day to day. So if they have periods 1, 2, 3, one day, the next day they have 4, 5, and 6. The only real change in the schedule is that every 2 weeks on Wednesday afternoon, we will shorten the afternoon tiered support time so that we have some dedicated professional development time to work with teachers. But the regular instruction, it should be 3 periods one day, 3 periods the next day, and then students will be given independent work, which they'll do outside of those 3 periods so that they can, you know, basically make up the minimum instructional minutes from the state.
Right, but the way I read it, at least for San Luis Obispo High School, is that every other Monday will be like today, like if today's Monday, next Monday is different.
Yeah, well, so let's say this first week, it might be period 1, 2, and 3, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And 4, 5, and 6 will be Tuesday, Thursday, and it'll be the opposite the following week.
Right, okay.
Does that make sense? So if 1, 2, and 3 is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then the following Monday will be Monday, Wednesday, Friday will be 4, 5, and 6.
Was that by design for a reason?
Well, just so that we have an even amount of time in all periods.
Huh, okay. Okay, and then Electives. So we have like an amazing program of electives at SLO High and probably on other campuses. I know that there's a material pickup day, at least for San Luis Obispo High School. Will there be materials that are not being utilized because the kids are not physically there? Will they be provided for various electives?
Yeah, we've been talking to teachers about what that looks like. And our CTE courses, career technical education course teachers, are eager to push out materials to students so they can work at home in their particular class. In fact, this last week we were talking to the insurance company. Can we send home saws? Can we send home, these materials so that kids have things to work on? And we're doing everything we can to make it as engaging, hands-on as we possibly can within the confines of distance learning. So we'll be sending home everything that we can so that students have a great experience.
Okay, because like, for example, ceramics, and I would just vote for creativity and fun. Yeah. And then my last question is
We're with you.
Pardon?
We're with you on that.
Okay, cool. Because this is, my last question is just on psychological support, because this is super stressful for the kids. Mm-hmm. And my student is independent because I'm working. And so she is rocking her own world. So just that you realize that. And somebody asked the question about not being able to connect. It's that would be super stressful for the kid if they thought it was detrimental that they weren't connected. So I guess my question is just about support, and I have a feeling that the first week will address all these concerns.
Yeah, but that's a great question, and I'll tell you, it's absolutely on our mind. And Perfect. So we've been talking all summer long about social emotional supports and how we can monitor how kids are doing. And like you said, it's not always obvious. They don't come out and say, hey, I have a problem today. Can you talk to me? A lot of times it comes out in other ways, behaviors that students have, that children have. And we have assessment tools in place that we're going to be rolling out to students. We're going to have social emotional learning time. We're going to have, the tiered support time where teachers are reaching out to students. It could be one-on-one, it could be small group. It's something we'll absolutely be monitoring.
Excellent. And if you do surveys, my wish list is that you always leave open boxes, because you might garner really good information if you allow the people to speak to the question. Thank
Agreed.
You.
All right. Next up is Matea Kalpikov. I'm sorry if I said it wrong.
Hi, this is Matea Kalpikov. I'm an incoming freshman, and I was just wondering how, at SLO High, how the first week is going to be different than the following weeks without the materials necessary.
So Matea, you should get everything you need, all the materials you need for all the classes that you have. So it shouldn't matter from one week to the next. You should have all the materials you need for the courses that you have. And whatever it is you do need, you can reach out to the school, and we'll do our best to get it to you. But you should have what you need for the courses from week to week.
Well, because this coming, the first Thursday and Friday, I believe that's the 28th, it was material pickup. So the week prior to that, the first week, we won't be having those materials.
What school are you attending, Matea?
SLO High.
Yeah, they're having material pickup, I believe, this week as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, give the school a call and find out when when that material pickup is. But they're having material pickup this week. What is it that you're needing?
I'm not entirely sure. I do have ceramics. But they said they had packages for each student, so they would give me what I need.
They'll let you know when you check in with each period. They'll let you know exactly what's going to happen. So on Monday morning, when you log into period 1 Zoom, and you'll get that from your teacher. When you log into that, they'll tell you, hey, this is what it looks like. This is what we're going to do. Here's what you need. Here's where you can get it. All that kind of thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Good luck.
Thank you. You too.
It's going to be awesome. You can do this.
All right, and I'm just going to say that I can confirm that material pickup is today at San Luis Obispo High. So feel free to reach out to the site and you can get your materials as soon as today. The next up is the Egon Family. Go ahead.
Hi. To Matea's point, I think the material pickup at SLO High this today, Thursday, Friday is devices, and the classroom materials is the 27th and 28th. So she had a legit question about what's going to happen this week and even the first 3 days of next week without the materials. And then to Lori's question about the alternating days, I did reach out to Mr. O'Connor because I try to map out the 1, 2, 3 periods and the 4, 5, 6 periods, and it turns out that it feels like the 1, 2, 3 periods would have an extra day, an instructional day. So I sent that to him Monday. He said he was going to look at it with his team. It would apply to all the schools, though. So should I forward it to you guys too, or should I leave it to Mr. O'Connor? What is your advice?
You are so awesome. I can't tell you how much we appreciate you. And Lena helps us a lot. I don't know if people know that, but Lena is a wonderful resource for us, and you help us a lot, and we appreciate it greatly. To your point about materials, though, and what Matea brought up before, teachers will not ask you to do something that you need materials for before the material pickup day. So they'll give you instructions on what to do, and you'll have what you need when the time comes.
Okay. Give me 1 second here. Jay Shea. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. This is Jennifer Shavitz. I don't know that you'll know this answer because you don't speak specifically for the high school, but I know my daughter is going to miss the second day in the morning because of a dental appointment. Are we supposed to call into the attendance line like normal, or is that no longer valid?
Nope, normal procedures, normal attendance procedures. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Excellent. Next up is Melissa Reed.
Oh, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, this may be a better answer tomorrow. I'm going to attend the new student orientation. We just moved from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I have an incoming 11th grader. I've been following all the Parent Square communiques. They've been great. My understanding is that materials distribution at SLO High was canceled for today, and then it's next week. And so I do want to make sure that I'm in the right place at the right time this week or next week.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard that, but we'll make sure that you get that information. Is there anyone on from SLO High who could answer that question for us? I understand tech was today.
I was down there at SLO High earlier, and they were handing out and checking out technology. So there's probably these multiple checkout times. Definitely reach out to the site; they'll know the best. But I can tell you,
you didn't get reach out, Melissa.
I'll ask. We have a new student orientation tomorrow, which I greatly appreciate you all having set up. So we'll tune in there.
In California, it's not normally like this. You're going to really like it.
I've been bi-coastal about 5 years, so
Oh, okay.
it's a wonderful community you have here.
all right. Next up is Jean Gibson Gornito.
Hi, it's Gorindo. And first off, I want to say thank you so much for all you're doing for all of our kids. It's an astounding task, and you're doing an amazing job. Here's my question. I have 3 grandchildren, one at Baywood, one at Loams, and one at Morro Bay High. And in Los Osos, we're at the end of a street. Our internet connection is traditionally sketchy and slow. Plus I have my work. So there'll be 4 of us trying to use the internet all at the same time. And so I had counted on getting hotspots for the kids to help with that. Baywood had no hotspots. The high school had no hotspots. Tomorrow I go to Loams. I'm hoping I can at least get 1 hotspot. I'm wondering how long it will be before you can provide hotspots for the people who need them.
Jeremy, can you help us out here? Jeremy has all the specifics on this.
Yeah, I'll answer that. I'm sorry you're having such difficulty on getting them. Right now, all we need is really truly one per student. We have them so that they're set for unthrottled, unlimited data. So it's no longer like, one per household. So it's no longer one per student. So just realize that. I just delivered 250 hotspots throughout the different school sites. And unfortunately, we have waiting lists right now, and I've ordered an additional 500 hotspots that will go above and beyond the current need that we have. And I'm hoping to get those by the end of the week or the start of the beginning of next week. So I'm sorry for the delay. And the demand is significantly greater than it was last year by about 900 more devices that are being requested when it comes to hotspots.
Okay, so you had no way of anticipating that?
Probably. Believe it or not, I had an inventory of 150 sitting that didn't get checked out last year. So this is above and beyond our expectations. So yeah.
But if I am able to get one at Loams tomorrow, from what you just said, that should be able to cover my 3 grandkids.
That is correct. And let the site know that you are unable to do like academic work. Like you have to have this device. We've been getting the word out, especially through the librarians. We've been asking people like, look, do you really need this to start instruction or not? And so a lot of people have been really gracious about saying, well, just put us on the waiting list for the hotspot. So when you communicate with Loams, let them know that like this is a must have for you, and they can help create that as a priority. Okay.
Should I contact them today before I go tomorrow, or tomorrow before I go tomorrow?
I would contact Baywood today. Lisa Stevens, the principal, just texted me that Baywood received some more today.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was just there earlier. They didn't have them, but I will contact her.
We literally just got more.
Lisa. I see her. Hi, Lisa.
All right, am I on? I just literally, right as you asked the question, the hotspots just came. I just got a few more. So we will call you tomorrow, Jean.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lisa.
Absolutely.
This principal is the most awesome principal in the world.
I have the most awesome families too.
Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate all you do.
You're welcome. Dr. Prater, did you want to say something? I saw you pop on real quick.
Yeah, no, Lisa Stevens stole the show. There it is. Thanks everybody. She's amazing. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, before I go back on mute and everything, Meredith Meyer is up next.
Yes, I had asked a question earlier, so thank you for entertaining me twice. I just saw, because I'm not on Parent Square, and Rick, thank you, I emailed you. Marianne retired, so I think maybe somehow I got lost in the shuffle between Marianne and Kelly. But there's a new parent orientation tonight, or a new student orientation for Laguna. Does anyone, and because I'm not on Parent Square, I have no idea how to attend or log into that. Can someone help me so I can attend this meeting tonight? Does anyone know from Laguna how to attend it?
You said you emailed me, Meredith. If you emailed me, I'll send you the link to this afternoon.
Yeah, Rick, I did. It's rmayfield at slcusd.org.
I'll check it out and I'll get the link from Laguna and forward it to you.
That would be amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, Jen Lurch-Wachara. Go ahead and unmute. Oh, she lowered their hand. So that's it right now, Rick. No other hands.
Wait, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
I just, in the process of trying to unmute, I did whatever I did. So my question is homework for high schoolers. In the spring, I had a freshman at Morro Bay High, and now he's a sophomore. there was a bunch of homework, and I'm concerned about this 3-hour-a-day homework kind of expectation. In that I don't know that in the spring teachers necessarily were communicating with each other how much homework they were giving their students. And so it added up to quite a bit. I mean, sometimes he was doing school, even though it was mostly asynchronous, for hours, like from, the morning till the late afternoon. And I just don't know if there's any kind of protocol for teachers to talk, or how much homework each teacher should give, or something, just to make sure that it's not going over 3 hours a day.
Yeah. Thank you for that. For as long as I've been in education, this has been a topic of conversation, like especially as students get older, that the material is difficult and the curriculum is difficult, and, teachers in very good conscience, want the students to be successful and, give out the work, but it ends up being a lot sometimes for students. And I would just go back to what we said earlier about communication. Just open up those lines of communication and let teachers know, let your sites know that, hey, my child's spending this many hours a night and it's really difficult, and is there, what can we do and how can we accommodate? Teachers are open and willing to make adjustments and to help students to be successful. We don't want anybody, bogged down and, drowning in homework. So by all means, communicate.
Okay, yeah, I figured it would be that, but I also hope it's a topic of conversation among the teachers and the administrators there. I'm assuming it is, but.
It is, I can tell you it is.
Okay, great, thank you so much.
It's one of the reasons, I will add that it's one of the reasons why we're doing 3 periods a day and not 6 periods a day.
I really appreciate that. My friends up in Harmony in the Cambria School District, they're doing 4 periods a day, and it's tough. It's really, really tough on the kids there. So I was actually happy to see that we were doing 3.
At this moment, Rick and Kim, there's nobody else with their hands up.
Great. Then if there's no one else that has any questions, thanks, Mr. Mayfield, for taking all of those. And thank you everyone so much for participating. Just want to emphasize the need for ongoing communication. So as you have questions or concerns, etc., we're here to support you and help you. So please be in touch with your school site, or let us know if there's anything else we can do to help make this distance learning as successful as possible. So thank you so much, and we look forward to a great year.
It's going to be a great year. Thanks, everybody.